In this video, I want to give you a technique to avoid what is arguably the worst fate that can befall a new writer. You work for years on your novel, and you finally get the manuscript under the nose of a literary agent, and she only reads the first paragraph. Well, obviously, the way to avoid that traditionally is to include a damn good hook in this opening section. And I agree. But what is a damn good hook? It's a tricky one, because a brilliant hook can be misleading and it will stop the reader in her tracks just as assuredly as a bad hook. So in this video, I want to help you avoid that particular pitfall and give you a simple, almost foolproof technique to make sure you get the right sort of hook in your novel. I call it the postcard from the future technique. So welcome to another installment in my series on how to write your novel using that most unlikely of writing implements, a round Oxford bus ticket. For inspiration, we're taking the bus down to the Lamb and Flag and wandering over along to this place, the Pitt Rivers Museum. They seem to have the entire contents of the human soul catalogued here within their walls, and many of the artifacts testify to what is probably mankind's third favourite leisure activity after sex and shopping, namely storytelling. And if we wander through the galleries, we notice a curious thing, that in every culture and clime and country across thousands of years, human beings, when they hear a hook, an opening hook, respond with the same specific physical gesture. This. I'll explain precisely what she's doing after we've discussed what makes a great hook. Now, it's worth pointing out the hooks are largely a modern contrivance. The mill on the floss, for example, begins with an entire chapter of beautiful lyrical landscape description, but nothing much happens. But that was in the old days. I don't think the mill on the floss would get off the agent slush pile today, because today we live in the age of impatience, don't we? So we have to include something which is surprising or startling in the opening section. But the crucial point is, it can't just be startling or surprising, it has to be relevant, because if there's no relevance, then all you have really is a form of clickbait. So the hook must make a promise. It must promise the sort of the DNA of the story, a story which I want to read. To see what I mean, let's consider two movies I saw recently. The first is Erin Brockovich starring Julia Roberts, and the second is the latest movie in the Frankenstein franchise, directed by celebrated director Guillermo del Toro. Now, in Erin Brockovich, it begins in a short courtroom drama, and this is the hook. And Julia Roberts gives an absolute tour de force performance. In a world of refined, upmarket people, she's low down, low class, vulgar, feisty, combative, foul-mouthed, and hugely entertaining. And she loses the case when she says "f*** in court. And the beauty of it is, this scene contains the entire story DNA. I know exactly what's coming, and I relish it. I know it's going to be the old storytelling archetype of the triumph of the underdog. She's going to take on the world, and she's going to win, and it's going to be hugely entertaining, and I can't wait to see it. Del Toro's Frankenstein, by contrast, starts in the 19th century in the frozen wastes of the North Pole. There's a sailing ship stuck in the ice, and the crew encounter this weird creature walking lost in the snow, and they fight him, and he has superhuman strength, and they can't overcome him. And I'm supposed to think, my God, what is this creature? What is he? Where's he come from? The thing is, I already know. It's in the title of the movie, Frankenstein. It's Baron von Frankenstein's creature. And I already know everything about him. I know how he got there and what he's doing there in his life story. And not only is that, but he's impervious to bullets, which must be the corniest trope of all. In fact, he's the monster straight from central casting. And there's nothing in the opening section, nothing to indicate that this is going to be any different from all the other Frankenstein movies I've seen before. So I bail out. In order to make this video, I went back and watched the whole movie, and I discovered something quite interesting, because in Mary Shelley's original novel, the creature is not evil to start with. He's kind and benevolent, and he's innocent, and he only becomes a monster after the cruel mistreatment he receives. It's actually very poignant and filled with pathos, and it turns out that Del Toro's Frankenstein is faithful to this original. He too starts out as innocent, and he reads Milton. But the problem is, The hook doesn't tell me that. The hook gives me the monster straight from central casting. It doesn't show me the monster or the creature who read Milton. So it makes the wrong promise. Sometimes a hook can be compressed into a single line, such as in this wander from Gertrude Stein. Once an angry man dragged his father along the ground through his own orchard. "Stop!" cried the groaning old man at last. "Stop! I did not drag my father beyond this tree." For me, the cognitive dissonance contained in that line is so overwhelming, it's almost like being forced at gunpoint to read on. Now, you might think writing lines like that is a tall order, and you'd be right. But here's the good news. You don't need to. You don't need to write a spectacular hook. You need to write a good one which has some element of surprise or intrigue in it, and which ticks all the boxes, which contains the story's DNA. And I'm gonna give you a technique, a simple technique, which almost guarantees that you get it right. I call it the postcard from the future technique, and we'll look at it after this short commercial break. Ale, man, ale's the stuff to drink, for fellows whom it hurts to think. Look into the pewter pot, to see the world as the world's not. Oh, I have been to Ludlow Fair, and left my necktie God knows where, and carried halfway home or near pints and quarts of Ludlow beer. Then the world seemed none so bad, and I myself a sterling lad, and down in lovely muck I've lain, happy till I woke again. Then I saw the morning sky. Hey ho, the tale was all a lie. The world it was the old world yet. I was I, my things were wet, and nothing now remained to do but begin the game anew. If you've ever felt like that, you need to write a novel. Get my free email course on how to write your first novel. The link is in the description below. Imagine I asked you to write a postcard from a country you never visited, and you do it, and then you visit the country and spend a month there and write another postcard. Well, there'd be a profound difference between the two cards, wouldn't there? And this is our secret. We get our opening with the DNA from the second draft, or sometimes the second half of the first draft. And this is the magic of storytelling, because when you begin your first draft, you've worked on it for months and you think you know all about it, and as soon as you start writing, you discover you don't know anything about it. You're all at sea, filled with doubt and gaping holes in the plot, and you find that there's so much you don't know. Now, the first thing to do if this happens to you is don't panic. It's normal. In fact, it means you're doing it right. And the second thing is don't give up. You have to finish that draft. You have to get to the end no matter what. And it doesn't matter how much it hurts. And it doesn't matter if you think you're writing rubbish, because you will be a lot of the time, but you can fix that later. The point is, and I've said this many times before, the first draft is the sand from which you build your sandcastle. And don't worry if it hurts, it's meant to. Suffering is the ink. But here's the beauty, the magic of storytelling. Out of your struggle, the story will emerge. And you'll find that you've moved from first postcard to second postcard. Now you know your story. So now when you begin to write the opening section of your second draft, it will automatically contain your story's DNA. Without you having to do anything, without you having to try, it will come naturally, almost as if it's been written for you. And you may even find a great opening section or some great lines in the second half of your first draft. I often do. And you'll know that you've got it right when the reader, on hearing your hook, does this. What is she doing? She's leaning in. Well, I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe, and remember to grab my free course. And if you'd like to learn how to write a love story that grabs the reader from the opening section, take a look at the video that should be on screen now.